Hello and welcome along to short highlights of the 117th edition of Milano-Sanremo, La Classicissima, the 298-kilometre race, which is all about the 6 hours of beautiful build-up to the most nervous and yet most important 30 minutes of cycling in the world. The course unchanged, the Passo del Turchino in the middle, the Tre Cappe leading to the two most important climbs, certainly in Italian cycling, the Cipressa and the Poggio di Sanremo. Mathieu van der Poel returning to see if he can take his third victory, last year's winner of course. And Tadej Pogačar yet to win this monument. He's won all but two, this and Paris-Roubaix. Could he do it on this day in the World Champions jersey? There would be others who would try and make sure he didn't. Tom Pidcock, a returning Mads Pedersen too. And Jasper Philipsen over to the left-hand side as well, one of 8 former winners of this race in the field of 175, who set off from the Lombard capital of Pavia at 10:15 local time. Of course, the early stages meant in a nearly 300-kilometre race, plenty of opportunity for banter, chatting, even opportunity for the early breakaway to go the wrong way at a roundabout and come back on itself. They would have the sort out though, and we would be left with 9 riders out front as well. 2 from Visit Malta, 2 from Team Novo Nordisk, 2 Bardiani riders, 2 Movistar riders, and the 1 sole Frenchman, Alexis Fourprost for Picnic Bustanel. At the front, as we'd had 1 year ago, it was Sylvain Dillier doing the pace setting, so much so that most of the bunch weren't happy to stay with him. He kept drifting off the front, determined to hold his watts, and his own teammates were coming up to check on him, give him food and drink, and he just carried on in much the same way that he'd done last year. The breakaway of 9 out front were working well together, extending their lead gradually as they continued to ride southward towards the Passo del Turchino. Eyes so often on Isaac Del Toro, the Mexican champion, and a lot of thoughts and questions about what his part might be to play in maybe the Tadej Pogačar game plan, and who knows, his own maybe. First of, unfortunately, some quite punctuating crashes on the day as well. This one involving Davide Ballerini of XDS Astana. And then on to the aforementioned Passo del Turchino, the climb which for a long time before the arrival of the Cipressa and the Poggio was the definitive point of Milano-Sanremo. Now it serves to just make things that much harder across the whole day, of course. Lots of work being done by Lidl Trek back in the peloton. And this group of 9 out front were, it has to be said, working very well together. So was Sylvain Dillier. He was the sole engine on the peloton, as he had been 1 year before. And Mathieu van der Poel, no doubt delighted to see exactly that. They took the descent off the back of the Turchino onto the coast road, the Via Aurelia, and the first of the nasty-looking crashes. This one affecting quite badly, by the looks of it, Michał Kwiatkowski. Ben Turner down as well. In fact, 3 of the Ineos Grenadiers riders down in that one. And we were on to the first of the Tre Cappe, the Capomeli. At the moment, the breakaway together, but each one of those 3 Cappi was proving enough to just remove 1s and 2s from the breakaway all the time as their gap started to tumble. Inside the final 50 kilometres and onto the Cervo, the middle of the 3 Cappi. And then there were only 3 left as well. The 2 Visit Malta riders in their 90s throwback replica kit.
Van Aert is involved in my...
Yeah, Wout van Aert.
Pogačar.
And Pogačar is down. Tadej Pogačar has been caught up in a crash on the left-hand side of the road. He's gone down very hard. He's hit the deck, left side of his skin suit completely scuffed up. He's banging his handlebars. Van Aert also a victim of that attack.
Yes, and then all eyes on the chase. Looking at the back, the shoulder, the hip of Tadej Pogačar, he had come down really hard. Wout van Aert looked less bashed up, but certainly with a lot of work to chase back in as they came onto the Cipressa. Now watch this, because the comeback here is quite remarkable. Tadej Pogačar drawn back up to the front by Brandon McNulty, straight to the front. A little bit of a work from Isaac Del Toro, and then he went. Tadej Pogačar taking with him the only 2 riders that could go this year, and they were Mathieu van der Poel and Tom Pidcock. Filippo Ganna this time being swapped out for Tom Pidcock. Those three riders on the Cipressa going clear. Strength in numbers for Lidl-Trek, trying to chase as best they could. The gap was never enormous, as you could see there, 19, 20 seconds over the top of the Cipressa, but it became obvious that Mathieu van der Poel was suffering much more than he normally would be. Didn't look so smooth, he was pulling all sorts of faces too. And the likes of Julien Alaphilippe, Wout van Aert still chasing to get back in. And then on to the Poggio. These three still together, but Mathieu van der Poel rocking and rolling. Tom Pidcock had spotted it, managed to get in front of van der Poel, and it was Tadej Pogačar just turning the screw again and again to see if he could shake out the double Olympic champion Tom Pidcock, but it was not working. It became evident that Pidcock was definitely on a very good day, but was also on his limits. Mathieu van der Poel, the returning champion, doing his best to limit his losses as he went over the top of the Poggio and into the descent down to the Via Roma and Sanremo. We got these brilliant drone shots following our two leaders at this point. Initially, Tom Pidcock trying to squeeze on Tadej Pogačar through his potentially superior descending, but it didn't work. These two came to the finish together. Wout van Aert escaped the rest to try and get across as well, and we knew it was going to come down to a sprint between these two. Tadej Pogačar happy to lead. Tom Pidcock watching the gap behind all the time and ready to start his sprint on the Via Roma.
Deliver the performance that gets him this yearn-for victory. Pogačar opens up his sprint. Pidcock still in the shadow of Pogačar. Pogačar trying to win the impossible race, but Pidcock is coming up alongside him. The arms go in the air, and it's very, very close, but Pogačar celebrates. The impossible race has been won by the impossible rider. Tadej Pogačar has done it.
Yes. And he'd done it by centimetres as well. Tom Pidcock timing everything right, but Tadej Pogačar just had that little bit more. On the dip, there it is. Half a wheel's length, maybe, something like that. And the great Slovenian champion, the rider who some people already say is destined to be the greatest of all time, tops the podium with Tom Pidcock second and Wout van Aert in third.
Today, the most complicated race for you to win, but you have won it, and it's been even harder because of the crash. Tell us all.
Yeah, I don't know. When I crashed, for a second I thought it's all over because I had to crash in Imperia just before the most important part of the race is not ideal, and but luckily I was quickly back on the bike and not too much damage to me or to bike a little bit. But then I saw my team, Florian and Felix, they left out everything to come back to the front, and then they gave me back hope, and the legs were still okay, and Brandon and Isaac did the rest on the Cipressa. And so today, if there's no team, probably I would just go straight. I would not go right in Cipressa, but straight to the finish line.
Did you get more hope seeing that Mathieu van der Poel was also not at his best on the Poggio?
Yeah, I mean, when we were turning, I was really happy. Everybody worked, and but it was a bit headwind, not ideal like last year, and was a bit harder on the middle part. And then when we hit the Poggio, was better wind this year for Poggio, so I tried to go all out there, but. Ideal would be to go alone, but Tom Pidcock was really strong, and also chapeau to Mathieu. He did amazing race also. So but in the end, me and Tom, we came together, and I was lucky in the sprint.
How confident were you to beat him in the sprint?
Yeah, I don't know, because Tom is really fast guy. We all know this. He's punchy, he's fast, and he looks really in shape. So I was a bit afraid when he let me go first, and yeah, I was waiting as far as long, but I also know that I cannot wait too long because he has better kick than me probably. And but yeah, in the end I was surprised. In the end was really close, and chapeau to him. Yeah.
Voilà.
Thank you.
Tom, no one can be completely disappointed to be second of Milano-Sanremo behind Tadej Pogacar.
Yeah, I mean, if you asked me to sign for it this morning, maybe I would have signed, but you know, I was just told I was 4 centimeters, and that's very painful that it was so close. But yeah, I need to, you know, look at the positives and the different in it, look at it in a different perspective, because I think I did a great ride. And yeah, to Tadej, I mean, he crashed. I mean, look at the state of him, and he was still there fighting every way to try and win this race, and I have massive respect for that. I mean, as annoying as he is, being so good, it's yeah, it was impressive. But yeah, I can't help but be disappointed right now.
Would you have preferred Tadej to launch the sprint later?
No, earlier. I tried to make him go earlier, but he's yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Now you know that this is a race you can win.
Yeah, but Tadej told me he's not going to come back now, so then I need to. What motorbike am I going to have to sit behind?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
It could have worked for the win. It worked for the 3rd place. Tell us about this attack at the bottom of the Poggio.
Yeah, it was an attack I always had in my mind if there was a moment of hesitation. But yeah, today it was, like you say, for the 3rd place, and unfortunately, but for the win. But I think yeah, I reached the maximum possible after crashing and having to change my bike so late before the Cipressa. So yeah, I'm happy with the podium finish.
Have you hoped at some stage that Tadej and Tom would watch each other?
I mean, in Sanremo, for sure you have to believe until the last moment. You never know what happens in the front, and as a team we really fought back to come in a position to race for the podium or for the win. So we did the maximum that we could, and yeah, obviously they had a bit of room to play, and that was just enough for them to be 1st and 2nd, and I guess they deserve it.
You said the best result possible. Does it give you hope for the coming classic, more north?
Well, I felt good coming here, and I have to say, yeah, the legs were also really good in the race. Unfortunately, I had to use a lot of energy to come back instead of racing in the front. But yeah, I take positives from this race, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you.